Hi, it's Rebecca. Got your email. We need to talk. Call me, okay? Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, I really don't feel good. Oh.
That's a token for a vault in the Milton Fitzpatrick London Bank. You need a pair, and you gain access no questions asked. I bet that's where Madame Carlyle keeps a copy of the Edwards file.
And both have the same red hair.
That appears to be a half-burned diary belonging to Zachary Carlyle. It says he and Madame Carlyle murdered their older brother 46 years ago, and that Mr. Fernsby helped them cover it up. He was planning to confess it all. Interesting.
Get off your ass and help me figure out what is going on.
Tempting, but no.
Get away from me! I am about to vomit. Make way!
If you're dressed like a Detective 47, you might as well act the detective. I suggest you go talk to the butler.
Make sure all the gravel is raked by 9 at the latest.
I promise the garden will be in good shape.
Good job, 47. You now have both tokens needed for us to get the file on Arthur Edwards from the London Vault. Time to take care of Alexa Carlyle.
Mr. Whitmer, are you ready to inspect the crime scene now?
I am.
Very well. If you'll follow me, sir. I feel obliged to point out that current affairs surrounding Madame Carlyle are of a delicate nature. You may be familiar with the recent announcement of her death. You will probably learn that a staged funeral is scheduled to take place tomorrow. Madame's children were not informed until this morning that their mother was in fact not dead.
How are you today, sir?
So please bear with them if they seem affected by the rather unusual situation. I trust I do not need to remind you that there will be consequences if word gets out that Madame Carlyle is still alive.
I'll consider her dead when I...
Before you inspect the crime scene, I will tell you this. The case concerns the death of Mr. Zachary, Madame Carlyle's younger brother. He was found dead in his bed this morning. The door was locked from the inside, and a suicide letter was found in his room. However, Madame Carlyle suspects foul play and will not accept that he took his own life. I've prepared some information for you, so please do come and see me when you've finished your investigation of the crime scene. This is Mr. Zachary's room, to my right.
A locked room murder mystery, 47. I trust you'll get to the bottom of this.
A hidden door.
It's a secret passage. This could explain how the door was locked from the inside. A photocopy of the floor plans. Somebody's been researching the secret ins and outs of Thornbridge Manor. Why don't you use your camera to scan the dead body, 47?
Throat markings indicate a rare, short-lived plant poison killed him. Spread shows time of death at around 10 o'clock last night.
You do know your poisons, 47. Zachary's suicide note. Also, a sample of handwriting. It could be relevant to compare to other samples to establish its authenticity. I believe you've done a thorough search of the crime scene, 47. Maybe it's time to see the butler. I'm curious about the information he's prepared for you. Zachary was shopping for new Wellingtons last night. Not exactly what you would expect from someone suicidal.
Sir?
Aaron Ford Jr. calling from Morgan, Yates & Cohn. I need to get a listing of asset transfers from the Carlisle account HTC depot number 5085. No, I need it immediately. Yes, I'll hold. Yes, I'm still here. It doesn't exist. What do you mean it doesn't exist? I'll double check and get back to you.
A letter from Emma's mother stating that Emma is the illegitimate child of Madame Carlisle's late older brother, Montgomery. And listen to this. She claims to have witnessed Alexa and Zachary murder him. There's no family without secrets, 47. But this family seemed to outdo most. Maybe you should ask Mr. Fernsby to see her. Or perhaps you feel like digging a bit more. This all confirms that Arthur Edwards stole everything from Madame Carlisle. Perhaps you should let her know how bad it is, 47.
Anything to report?
Everything is as expected.
Mr. Fernsby, I'm done with the crime scene.
Did you establish a time of death?
Zachary died around 10 o'clock last night.
Well, that means the staff were off duty. And Madame Carlisle and her security didn't arrive until this morning. That leaves Madame's family and myself as the only persons here when he died. And before you ask, no, I do not have an alibi. I was alone in my office at the time of death. Here's the material that I prepared for you. It's a list of the possible suspects and their quarters. Hopefully that will help you keep track of your findings. Please come and see me when you've solved the case, and I will take you to Madame Carlisle.
Mr. Fernsby clearly didn't commit the murder, but I think you have enough evidence to convince Madame Carlisle he did. Maybe you should tell him you are ready to present your findings. So how does one solve a murder mystery, 47? Motive, means, and opportunity, I believe. May I suggest you ask the suspects for alibis? Or perhaps you prefer searching the manor for clues first? Unless, of course, you want to do some more detecting, 47?
Gregory Carlisle, can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Oh, you're wondering about my alibi, Mr. Detective. Well, I left Thornbridge around 8:30 for a pint with Edward. I wish I hadn't. Quiz night at the inn. On the other hand, staying here with Zachary, my obnoxious sister, and the wife sporting another one of her headaches would have been a fate worse than death. The short of it, Zachary was very much alive when we left. I stayed for the last shout, and I was back here just before midnight. Anything else you want to pry from my intricate intellect?
Tell me about Zachary.
Zach? Huh. Such a sad old sod. A bit heavy on the bottle. But who could blame him? Only company he had was his rare plants and mother, who travels more than she stays here. Honestly, I can't say which is the bigger ball. He's better off dead. Is that all? Not very thorough, are you?
Anything else you'd like to tell me?
Nothing, really. I'm just enjoying the show. Our perfect mother obviously fucked up, didn't she? Faking her own death. You know, she's explained nothing to us. I think she's scared to own up to her own mistake. A toast to my mother, the living dead.
Rebecca Carlisle here. I need access to some records from your office. Could you please call me back as soon as you get this message?
Rebecca Carlisle, can you tell me about yesterday evening?
We don't really see much of each other, my brothers and I. I suppose it takes our mother's funeral to bring us together, and even then, it's not like we sit on each other's laps. Now, let's see. Patrick, Gregory's son, disappeared straight after dinner. You know, I think he might be in some sort of trouble. Edward wanted to go as well, but Gregory convinced him to stay for a few drinks before they went off for a pint at the local at 9:15. I swear Gregory enjoys Edward's discomfort over staying here. I had a conference call with my New York office at 9, so I spent 3 hours on my laptop in my room and went straight to bed afterwards. I don't know about Emma. She did act a bit strange. You know, I bet she was making lists for changes needing to be done once she gets her hands on Thornbridge Manor. Quite the shock she had when Mother arrived during breakfast. Is that everything, Mr. Whitmer? I do have a lot to see to.
Tell me about Zachary. Did he act strange last night?
You know, now you mention it, he was a lot more chatty than usual. He wanted to know about my connections in the publishing business. Apparently, a friend of his is writing a book, which strikes me as very peculiar. I didn't think he had any friends. Is there anything else you want to ask me?
Anything else you feel like mentioning?
I may be wrong, but I saw Mr. Fernsby, the butler,
afterlife.
leave Zachary's room early this afternoon.
Rosamund Rich.
And he seemed a bit startled when he saw me in the hallway.
Braveheart.
It's probably nothing. Oh, and one more thing. Please be kind to Edward. He can only take so much.
Patrick Carlyle, can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Shit, it's that sneaky butler, isn't it? He ratted me out. Don't tell Mother, okay? She's really tense these days, and the last thing I need is more hassle. I took that pretty blonde, Rosie, for an evening stroll. I mean, how the fuck am I expected to cope for an entire weekend in this shithole? I'm bored out of my mind. So, is that it?
What did you think of Zachary?
Creepy as hell. No ambition. Imagine deciding to live in a museum. You know, Father says Zachary and Alexia used to be two of a kind. He had a great future ahead of him. Then suddenly, he just gave up everything. What an idiot. Thank God Daddy chose looks and brains over pedigree when he married Mummy. I don't have to worry about the inbreeding so customary in these circles. If that's all, I think I'll get back to my slow death by boredom.
Did you see anything suspicious last night?
No. I reckon Zachary topped himself. I know I would have. Or perhaps Mr. Fernsby. I don't like him. He could have done it.
Professor Edward Carlyle, can you tell me your whereabouts for last night?
Oh, yes, this dreadful business with Zachary. I stay at the local inn. You see, I prefer not to spend the night here at Thornbridge Manor. My brother Gregory came along for a nightcap. He'll never admit it, but I think he understands that I find this whole thing upsetting and wanted to provide some comfort. I believe we went to the Stag's Head around 8:30. If that's all, I have a speech to write.
Can you tell me about Zachary's behavior last night?
I certainly didn't expect him to commit suicide. Sure, he was upset by Mother's supposed death. We were. But he seemed more engaged than usual. You should ask Rebecca. They had a long talk. Did you know that he hadn't left Thornbridge Manor in nearly 50 years? His plants, Mother, and the staff, all the company he had. Anything else I can do to help?
Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary?
You mean apart from the fact that we came here to bury our mother and she shows up alive and kicking? Zachary found dead in his bed this morning? Or perhaps that the planned funeral is still taking place and I have to do the eulogy? And Mother will surely have strong opinion on it afterwards. I can't breathe. Excuse me.
Oh, you startled me. I was just, I don't know, thinking about Zachary. He spent most of his life in here with these plants. Not much of a life, is it? Well, anyway, I'll be outside if you need me. If you'd excuse me.
Emmer Carlyle, can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Surely I'm not a suspect.
I need to account for everyone.
Well, I spent the evening with my family, but I got an awful migraine and had to take to bed. Everyone can attest to that. I believe I went up when the boys sat down for a drink around 8 o'clock. Is that all?
You have uncovered enough evidence to tell Madame Carlyle that Emma is the murderer. Quite the detective, 47. I'm impressed.
How did you feel about Zachary?
I might as well be honest. His presence was always awkward. But how do you have a meaningful conversation with a man who only cares about plants? In my opinion, Alexa bears some responsibility for how this ended. She supported his self-limiting behavior by letting him live here.
I suggest you go tell Mr. Fernsby.
Have you noticed anything else out of the ordinary?
Nothing special comes to mind. Except, perhaps, I did get a feeling that Zachary was depressed, not just sad. I suppose he realized that he had no one with Alexa gone. Even Alexa must feel the pangs of guilt over that one, letting him believe she was dead. Then again, guilt isn't her strong suit.
If you don't get back to me immediately, I promise you I will have your head. I will skin it, boil it, clean it, and soak it in enzyme bleach for 3 days. Mount it and place it on the wall in the gardener's shithouse. So you will get back to me. Fernsby, everything in order?
Nothing new, madam.
I'm ready to present my conclusion to Madame Carlyle.
Very well. If you'll follow me, sir. This is Madame Carlyle's office. Please step inside.